Hi everyone, it's Martha. Thank you for joining me today. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you haven't, welcome. Today we're going to talk about paper bags or paper sacks. I grew up calling them paper bags, so I'll probably flip-flop back and forth as to what I call them. These are purchased bags that I got. This one is it's got a shiny exterior but a plain paper interior. I thought it was going to be plain paper when I purchased it on Amazon. This one is a glassine bag, but it's very, very waxy. It's sort of like if you went to a deli and got a sandwich, they'd probably put it in that type of bag. I've also purchased some very thin, small bags, which I don't have in front of me right at the moment. But I wasn't really thrilled with any of the bags that I purchased. And I don't want to keep purchasing bags and, spend my money when I'm not really going to use them very much. So I wanted bags of different colors and different sizes to put in my journals. And so I sort of started making my own. So the first one I made was out of a book page. And then I decided to decoupage a napkin onto the front of it because there's just something about the plain book pages that I don't really love. So I did that. And I started with this brown paper that I have, and I just made a small bag. I tried to use my scissors that cut special edges, but they don't work very well on this thin paper. They work really great on cardstock and heavier weight paper, but they don't work very well on these papers. This one is made from heavyweight copy paper, and it's a pretty substantial, nice bag. I did use my decorative scissors. This was a prototype, so it has this crease on the front because I was trying to get the cut even when I cut them. This one is also out of heavy copy paper. This is 24-pound. These two are 24-pound copy paper. These are some more of the brown paper that I have. This one I took a, what is behind here? I decoupaged onto copy paper, and this is a napkin, and I put a cutout here, a half circle, and so it's sort of like a card pocket there. And then there's also the bag, the paper bag part. This one is plain, but it's a different size. And this one is one I made out of very heavy tracing paper. And this one I actually can put into a journal signature like this. And when you turn to it, this can be a tuck spot here for something very nice, maybe a mini journal or a large journaling card. And then when you flip the pages and you get to the back side of it, I didn't seal up the bottom. So what I did was I just made a half circle or an oval in there, and you can use this side for tucking in as well. And this is a very nice, very heavy-duty tracing paper, which I will show you in a moment. And so this is lighter weight tracing paper, and I really like the way these came out too. Here's a different style. It's almost like a pocket, but it's still a little paper bag sack. And there's another one out of the lighter paper. Here's a tall, thinner one I made out of the heavy copy paper. And this stuff really makes a really nice paper bag. Here is one made out of the copy paper, and I decoupaged it, and you could use this as a little a floating pocket if you wanted, or whatever. Now this one, when I cut it, there were circumstances beyond my control when I did the decoupaging on a piece of paper, and I ended up not having the flap. I didn't have enough for a flap at the bottom, or I would have had a really shorter, squattier bag. So I just glued the bottom together. So it still looks like a regular paper sack. It's just not got the flap on the back. So I guess it's a pocket, not a baggie. But now this is out of green paper, similar to the brown paper I showed, and I decoupaged a napkin onto that one. These, I took some plant pages and just glued them on. This is another book page, another green one, a couple more green ones, and this is a larger green one that I decoupaged very poorly onto the paper. I used, on this one, I used the this stuff, Collage Page, and it's very wet, and this paper is very thin, so it did not work great on this, but you know, I like it. I still like it. So all of this to say that you can make a paper bag, a paper sack, out of just about any paper you want. Now I was going to pull out some other papers, and you know, we can kind of play around today. I want to show you how easy this really is. I made it really complicated to begin with. It's kind of my way. I tend to do that. But it's not complicated. It really isn't. I even made a template, but you don't need a template. You really don't. You just, it's very, very easy to do. So I thought I would start with different types of papers. This is just the heavyweight copy paper. Again, it's 24-pound paper. This is paper out of a paper pad. This is a 8x8 paper pad. And I really like this because it's a great size for a lot of things. And it's got lots of different papers in it. And a lot of them are written on, or they're maps. I mean, it's going to take me a while to go through this paper pad, and I really like it. This is the pad I used to make one of the envelopes that I had in my giveaway. So there's this piece of paper from that, and the copy paper. This is the green paper, which comes on a roll like this from Home Depot. This is the brown paper, which also comes on a roll from Home Depot. And these two papers you can find in the paint section. It's called masking paper. And Gail Agostinelli is the one who showed these first. And they are wonderful papers. I just love playing with them for backgrounds and all kinds of things. I even use a piece of it for using on my desk when I'm inking and gluing and stuff, and it protects my desk. So I really like it. This is the regular weight tracing paper. This is the heavy duty tracing paper. So if I do this, you can see that you can see through both of them. Pretty much the same. But this one is definitely a lot heavier than this one. They even sound different. And this is just a plain 12 by 12 piece of paper that I'm going to demonstrate with as well. From a paper pad. I don't have the paper pad. I pulled this from a drawer of loose 12 by 12s that I have. So I showed you the one paper pad. The tracing paper is from these pads here. I got these at Hobby Lobby. This is a regular tracing pad. It's $5.99. You get 50 sheets and it's 25-pound tracing paper. So that's the regular one. The sheets are really large. They are 9 by 12. Really nice size. If you want to print on these, you do have to cut them down unless your printer takes like 12 by 12 paper, which mine does not. So I cut this down to 8.5 by 11, and I use the leftovers for other things, pockets and stamping on and stuff like that. This is the same brand. Got this at Hobby Lobby as well. This one is $7.99 for the same number of sheets, 50 sheets, and this one is 45-pound weight. So it's much, much heavier. The first one is 25, this is 45. So it definitely is very weighty, and I have not had the opportunity to print on it yet, but I am excited to print on it because I bet it'll make really cool prints from digital packages. So let's get started. Now the first one I'm going to do, this is the copy paper. And what I did was I tried putting it through my Cuttlebug using a embossing, and I really like the way it came out. I don't do a lot of embossing, but I want to start doing more of it. So I thought this would be pretty. I'm not going to start with that one though. What I'm going to start with, I'm going to start with a plain piece of paper to show you exactly how simple this is. And I think because my background is light, I'm going to put this down so you can see better. So this is a half sheet of regular copy paper. Well, the heavy duty copy paper, 24-pound weight copy paper. So it's a half a sheet. You can start with any size you want. And we will go through this and make different sizes. So what I learned, the simplest way to do this is to fold your paper over and leave, I don't know how much this is. I just eyeball things. That's about, let's see. It's between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch, whatever that measurement is. Math, not my strong suit. Cutting, sewing, and drawing straight lines, again, not my strong suit. So what we're going to do is we are going to leave about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of a portion on the right side of the, unless you're left-handed and you do this the other way around. And we are going to crease that. Okay, so now we have a fold, right? We're going to take this excess and we are going to fold that over so that it's folded over meeting this edge here, okay? This is going to be the back of your paper sack, all right? So if you flip it over, this is your front. This is really important to pay attention to. Trust me, because I messed up a couple of times and it does make a difference. So what we're going to do first is do the bottom. So you start on the back and you fold your bottom up to however big you want your flap in the back to be. This is the bottom of your bag. This is what's going to close your bag up. And the heavier your paper, the more careful you have to be to get it straight and really crease it, okay? So I folded that up and I'm unfolding it. Now what I want to do is I am going to unfold this flap and I am going to cut this piece off here. And it's going to include this little edge that sticks out. So I am just going to, and this, again, this is the back of your paper bag. Okay. So I'm going to cut on that line. And you're going to cut until you get to the fold where the crease is, where the bag folds over. Okay? And then cut up. Okay, so now your back looks like this. Now to reduce the bulk, this little part on the flap that you fold over to the side, you're going to cut that as well. And here, if you want to, you can curve these corners, you can leave them, you can just cut them at a small angle, which is what I'm going to do here. Just a small angle. Don't have to cut a whole lot off. They don't have to be exactly the same, but if that's how you like your stuff, you can take and fold it like this, but don't put a crease in it. And you can cut them both at the same angle. Okay, so now we are going to fold that over, fold this over, and fold the back up. Now you have a paper sack. But what we want to do is we want to cut the front so it's shorter than the back. Otherwise it's more like a pocket, right? So open it up. This is the front. So what I do, you can do this one of two ways. You can fold it down and just fold to the crease. Okay? Or you can measure. You can take a ruler and you can measure. And then you're going to cut straight across that fold line. Now, if you wanted, you could curve this, but that gets tricky. Trust me. I tried to do it yesterday and totally messed up the bag. If you want to take a corner punch and punch these, you can do that. It rounds it off nicely. If you want to cut this at an angle, you can do the same thing I showed you at the bottom. You can take this, meet the corners, and cut it at an angle. You can, it's not going to work that way. You can use your corner rounder. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm having too much trouble. I'm going to make the top match the bottom. So I'm just going to, okay. There. So there's your little paper sack. Now, if I wanted to, on this paper, I really could use my decorative scissors because they do work on this heavier paper. Okay, so there's one. Here's the embossed one. So what I'm going to do is fold this over, and I'm going to turn it this way because my embosser didn't get this part down here. And really with this design, it sort of could go both ways because this flower comes around this way and there's one that goes up that way and then this one comes down this way. So it could go either way. It could go this way or it could go this way. But I want to cut off this part that's not embossed anyway for the, and I didn't emboss the back because if I put this in a journal to hold a tag or a journaling card or something like that, then I'm not going to worry about that. So if you wanted to do the whole thing, you could stick the whole thing in the embossing folder and have the back debossed and the front embossed, or you could stick it in and just do each side separately. That's what I did. I stuck the embossing folder on this part and I just folded this over the outside. So if I do it this way, and say I want to use my decorative scissors, what I did the other day, let's see if I can do this and not mess it up, is I lined up this score line, this crease, with this crease here that folds the bag in half. And hold them together. And then I just kind of go at a slight angle. Okay. And there you have it. There's the front of your bag. And you can do the back of your bag too, if you want to. I just go very close to the edge. Not very straight, but that's the story of my life. And I would actually just cut this down to go there. And then the back, you're just going to cut along here, and you are going to fold this part up because this is the back. So the front folds up over the back is what you're getting at. And if you wanted to use your decorative scissors on the bottom of the front, you could do that too. I get talking and I can't think. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut off at the crease, and then I'm going to fold this up. And I'm going to cut this here. Okay. And cut this off as well, off the flap at the same place, same height. And then you fold this in, and you fold that up, and there's your little embossed paper sack. Okay? And of course you glue them, which I will do. We can glue them all at once, because the gluing is the easy part, and they go so fast. So if I were to do, say, this brown paper, this is 12 inches apart. This is 8.5 inches high. You could make one paper bag out of this, and you would do it the same way. You fold it like this, fold this over, right? And so you are going to, this is the bottom. If we cut at the seam there, let me make sure I'm doing this right. Yes, this is the side. I did this, I tried to film this video before, and I kept doing it backwards, and I'm like, I am not teaching them anything but how not to do it right. And we'll cut across here. And this is going to be covered up, so I'm not really worried about how ugly I cut, because my cutting leaves a lot to be desired. And you want to cut this part off of the flap as well. Oops, and I tore it. And if you want to curve this bottom flap, now I would not use the decorative scissors on this, because this paper is horrible to use decorative scissors on. And then this is the front, so you have to decide how far down you want the front to be open. And cut on, I'm going to make this one pretty deep. Cut on the seam. That's the back. This is the front. I'm telling you, I get messed up all the time. I have to, it's like that measure twice, cut once thing. Yeah, I have to look at it 15 times before I know I've gotten it right. Okay. And cut across. And you can make just about any size paper bag, paper sack that you want to make this way. So here, I'll show you on this. Really, if you wanted to make a template, you could, but you don't have to. I mean, honest, I hope everything I'm doing is in frame. I keep changing my camera angle, which probably isn't a good thing. So you just fold the bottom up, fold the back over, and then if you want to curve your edges there, I just gently meet them up on the corners, line them up, and I do a curve. That way they're both the same. And there you go. Almost looks like a brown manila envelope, right? So if you start gluing these, well, actually, we'll do them all at once. Okay, so now the tracing paper. So the way I made the large bag was the large one that I showed you that can go in a journal. The other way you can do this, now that I've done several this way where you fold it all the way over, you can also make them, if you like your paper sacks to meet in the middle, you can have them meet in the middle and do the same method. So you want your overlap there. And this, I need I like to use my silicone folder. My official bone folder. My toy spatula I got from Chick-fil-A Kids Meal. Okay, so there my my seam is going to be in the center. It makes it a little more complicated in my opinion, but you know, it is what it is. So say I was going to put this in a journal, fold it in half, and again this is 9 by 12. So this is the back, and we want to, all you're going to do is cut up. Once you fold this stuff, it really likes to stay folded. You're going to cut up the seam, however high you want your back flap to be, okay? And I'm just eyeballing it. So your front is going to come up over your back. So you're actually cutting off this back portion here. So I am going to fold this up so I have a line to follow because I cannot cut straight. You're going to fold this side up, same way. And you could draw the lines if you wanted to with a ruler. If that makes you feel better about it, that's how I started. And then I thought, I'm wasting so much time. I'm just going to fold it and cut on the lines. Okay. So there I've cut the back. And then this is just going to fold up like this. Right? Okay, and then you need to cut your space here out in the front. Now you could leave it like that if you wanted to. And this will rip, so you do sort of want to be careful. It's almost like vellum, honestly. And I haven't really tried the decorative scissors on it, and I don't know if I want to be honest. Uh-oh. I'm telling you, even when I have a straight line to follow, cannot cut a straight line. Can't sew a straight line. I'm just hopeless. And then you're just going to cut the front down. And again, you can round those off, you can square them off, you can, well, they're already squared off. That didn't make much sense, did it? You can angle them. Okay. So, and I'm going to do the bottom. There we go. And then you just fold that up. And there is your vellum. Now, if you wanted to put this in a journal, like I did the one that went in the signature, I wouldn't do the bottom. I'd leave the bottom open. You could leave the bottom just like that. Don't fold it up. And just glue right down here. And then you've got your opening here and your opening on this side for the other side of it. Okay? Same way with 12 by 12 paper. You could cut this at like 6 and get 2 sets of bags out of it that are the same. You could cut it at 6.5 or 7 and get, I'll show you. Let me demonstrate. Okay, so I'm going to do this one. It's 12 by 12, so it's square. So I'm going to do this one about 6 3/4. Okay, so I have 2 different sizes of papers. And what I'm going to do, get this off here. All my bits, all my little bits. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to fold it. A little more than half. And I'm going to overlap this one a little bit. So I'm sure there's probably tons of tutorials on how to make a paper bag. I didn't watch any of them. I just sort of started playing with regular copy paper and just kind of doing it myself. So I'm not going to make this flap very big. Goodness. I don't know about you guys, but we have had some crazy weather. And this morning it was snowing, and now it's raining. The temperature is in the 30s, and they're calling for 70 degrees on Sunday. And I was looking at my Facebook memories. And the funny part is, it does this every year, just about. Some years this time we've had giant snowstorms. Back in 2015, I think it was, or 13, we had a huge, huge snowstorm after having a really huge snowstorm in the end of February. We had one at the beginning of March. Okay, so there's my back. And after you do this several times, you sort of get the hang of it a lot easier. And then here's my front. So what I did the other day, let's see if I can do that with this one. It's sort of like what I just did with the scissors. So sort of what you want to do is pinch it really well. If you want more of a, I can't do a curve because I'll mess it up. So I just sort of start aiming for where the fold is. And it doesn't always come out perfect, but there you go. There's the front of your bag. Now if you wanted to, you could distress it. You could even line the inside of this if you wanted to. If you have double-sided paper, that's even better. So there we go. So all sorts of sizes, all sorts of papers. You could do it just about any way you want to, right? Let's take the, oh, and I was going to show you the other side. Here's the other side of the paper. So we'll make one short and squatty like my other one. And if you don't like it, if you don't want a paper bag this wide, make it shorter. So I hear my dryer beeping at me. So what I'm going to do here is I have that fold. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it once again, about a ½ inch maybe from that fold. And I'm going to cut it here. Okay, so this is going to fold over that way. And so this is my back. I've turned it over. That pattern is kind of wild. See, as soon as I say, oh yeah, it's not hard at all, I mess it up. Okay, so we're going to fold this up. Not look at the pattern because it makes me dizzy. This is a great way to use up papers that maybe you're not crazy about, and you could gift them. You could fill them with stuff if you're doing a rack, or if you're doing some sort of trade, or you've joined something as far as a swap. And you could stuff all kinds of tags and stuff in here, and it's just fun because, I mean, you've got all kinds of sizes. You can make it, you know, whatever size you want to fit your needs. And this is not cardstock paper. It's a really nice heavy, just a heavy 12 by 12 paper. It's not cardstock though. I wouldn't make one out of cardstock myself. But, hey, you know, you want to try that, go for it, right? So I'm going to fold this. I'm just going to cut it that way. And there we go. Another paper sack. And so you've got that one, and really, you can make another one out of this piece here if you wanted to. Right? Right. These little bits I'll throw away, but these things I'll keep for collaging. Okay, map. This is 8 by 8, so you might not want the bag to be this tall and narrow, but, you know, why not? Again, you could cut it in half this way and make 2 of them. I'm trying to decide if I want to cut it in half or not. And like I said, you can make these any size you want out of whatever paper you want and just have fun. And this is like, you could do this pretty much in front of TV at night. If you're stuck on what to do, make this and then make a bunch of things to fill it, right? I think I will cut it in half. Make 2 smaller ones. And you could make these into pockets too if you didn't want to make a paper sack. Oh my goodness, I've glued this twice and it doesn't stay glued. If you wanted to make pockets out of these, you could do the same thing. Pockets are just as easy. So for a pocket, I would just put a half circle here, and then you've got and glue the bottom. You don't even have to put the flap on it. So let me show you. If you put so I'm going to take my circle punch. I'm going to try and find about where center is. Sometimes I'm not always good at that. Okay, there's a pocket. And you just glue the bottom shut, and glue this flap down, You've got a nice pocket to put in your journal. Right? So there you go. Let's start gluing. And then you can decorate them any way you want. If you want to decoupage the front, I would just do that. Like if I wanted to decoupage the front of this, I would just do it now before I glued it all together. And that way you can see where you want to put whatever it is you want. But we're just going to glue, and I find that the art glitter glue seems to work pretty well. So here's how I glue. Hopefully, gosh, I hope everything I've done is in frame. If I've been too far over and I have to do this video again, this is number 7. So I would not be happy if I have to do that. And the worst part is having to watch and listen to myself to review the video to see if it's good enough to put on YouTube. That's the hard part. It's really, really, really hard. So I hope I've been in frame. If not, I'm going to be depressed. But I'm going to have a lot of bags made. My art glitter glue is not wanting to work. I misplaced my original pin. And I had bought some of these stainless steel pins to try in case I lost my pin. I did refind my pin. Of course, I don't know where it is now. But I figured I'd keep using the one I replaced it with to see how it worked. Because some people have said they've bought stainless steel pins and they still rusted. Which leads me to believe they weren't really stainless steel to begin with, but that wasn't their fault. It probably said stainless steel on it. Now I hope you saw what I did, because I didn't glue a whole lot. This glue is really strong, dries immediately, and holds very, very well. And it dries clear. Okay, so what I'm doing is I glue along this edge here. Just, again, I can't glue in a straight line. And I swear I don't drink. So I glue along that edge, and then I glue along the edge of the flap. Just the edge. I don't glue down here where the fold is because I'm afraid it will mess up the stick the inside of the bag. And I like to use it's almost like a squeegee, because then it smooths the glue out and it doesn't make it lumpy on the back when it dries. And then I go inside to make sure that nothing's sticking. Now, see, I was going to leave this one open at the end and I forgot. You know, that's kind of the way I go. All right, let's do this one. So, on this flap, this is the side flap that goes in the back. I do the edge, the top edge, and down the two sides a little bit. And then on this edge, on the actual bag, I do that edge right there. And that will seal the bottom of the flap without getting inside. See? So now you have a pouch. Right? And then I do the same thing with this. I go along the top of the flap. This is the bottom flap. And then I go along the edge of the bag. And you can do the sides here. And I use minimal glue, as minimal as I can, because I do not want glue everywhere, which at this moment I have. And then I stick my hand inside to make sure it's all open. So there we go with that one. See how fast these go? And it's fun. So that's going to overlap that. So I do this edge here. And I do this edge here. Oops. I'm trying to do only the edge. I'm going to slow down. Okay. And I kind of smooth it out this way. And then I'm going to do the flap edge. And then I'm going to do the edge of the bottom of the bag, which I did not cut straight at all. So the flap is going to struggle a little, but that's okay. Nobody's going to see it. It's the back. And there's that one. Done. And we didn't do anything with that one. So we're going to do the same here. I do the side first. So I do the edge of the flap. Are you bored yet? I hope you're picking up some paper and trying this. This is a really good thing to just try. And you just have to be brave. You just have to play with it. Glue that down. And then I do the edge of the bag. And then I do the edge of the flap. Seal it down. And if your hand won't fit inside, take your bone folder and not the sharp edge and stick that down inside. Make sure you haven't glued anything inside the paper sack. Here's the embossed one. Exact same deal. I'm going to do the edge. And we're going to do the edge of the back. Seal those down. We're going to do the edge of the bottom. Kind of hard to see the white glue on the white paper. And we're going to as I keep going off the edge. Come on, glue. Uh-oh, that's way too much. And I'd rather wipe it off and start again than to have too much on there. And I didn't curve those edges, so those corners. Just stick this down here. There you go. Isn't that pretty? And if you were to stuff this full of stuff for a friend, right? Here's the little pocket. I'll show you the difference that I do here. I do this edge the same, down the sides. Do this edge the same. And then I do a very, very, very thin layer of glue right along the bottom here. And sort of spread it out a little bit with my tip. You don't want to go too far up into the bag or the pocket. So I'm going to fold that down, fold that down. Just a little bit of glue coming out the end. And then very carefully, if you just open it up, the bottom is just sealed. And you let that dry before you stick anything in it. I mean, this glue dries fast, but I would really let that dry an hour or so. And then we have the white paper, just the plain white paper. This edge. Can't seem to put my glue down on a flat surface. And then do the flap. So I'm waiting for a really important email to come in. And it's supposed to come tomorrow. And if it's going to happen, if this thing I applied for is going to happen, I will know tomorrow. So I've been on pins and needles, trying to keep busy. Hence all these bags. Yeah. So, helps if you have the front. So I've kind of been, you know, waiting for this email. So if you want to keep me in your thoughts for this email, it's for a good thing. I don't want to share it quite yet, but fingers crossed. I will be accepted, and then I will be very excited and very nervous and very happy. So I'm going to do the bottom. I'm going to do across here, and I'm going to do across here. And that is not even straight across the bottom either. Too funny. And I didn't even look at the other one to see if it's right side up. Yeah, it is. So there we go. So I hope you had fun. I did. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll go try it. I hope I'm in frame with everything. Because if I'm not, I don't know if I'll try again. Anyway, you guys, thank you for joining me. I hope you crafted along with me. I hope this will inspire you to make some of your own paper bags, paper sacks, whatever you like to call them, and that you'll have some fun with it. Look around your stash, see what kind of papers you have. If you have something you're not really that thrilled with as far as making a page out of it, make some paper bags out of it. Because, you know, there's a use for everything. And have some fun. Use your embossing folders. You can use your die cuts and put them on the front. You can ink these. You can decoupage them with napkins. You can use decorative papers. You can put them in your journals. And you can do all sorts of fun stuff with them. And before you know it, if you're like me, you're going to have a whole ton of paper sacks. And don't forget, if you want to use a big one in a journal, then, you know, you could do this with an 8.5 by 11 or 9 by 12, and just don't close up the ends. And you can make the two ends different if you want. Or you can cut this one out too and have two sides, and that way you don't have to cut off an end that you already glued up, right? So take care. Thank you for joining me. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. If you didn't, you can give me a thumbs down, but I'd rather have a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do that below. Leave me comments if you'd like. I'd appreciate that. All of it helps. And thank you again. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Happy crafting. And it's snowing out again. Bye-bye.